word tonality refers to playing in a given key. For example, if I'm playing in the key of C, there's a certain tonality. If I'm playing in the key of D flat, or D flat minor, or A minor, or D major, any key at all, it has a certain tonality of its own. Polytonality means more than one tonal base at the same time. For example, if I played in the key of C in the right hand, in the left hand, in the key of G in the right hand, you'd have a polytonal effect, and that's a very simple explanation. Things get a lot more complex than that, but that's the basics of it. So, let me say I'm playing Silent Night. Okay, but what if I play Silent Night in C in my left hand and in G, say, in the right hand? That to extremes. And make really complex arrangements, and you get some beautiful stuff out of it. But the basic notion is that you have two keys at once, okay? One key over another, like D over C or G over C or whatever, okay? So that's polytonality.
Polytonal. Adjective. 1. Music that uses two or more tonalities simultaneously.
So this week we're going to look at the term polytonality. When we speak of the tonality of a piece of music, we are referring to its key. In music, written in C major for instance, the ear will sense a strong pull towards the most important note of that key, the tonic note C. The next most important note is the dominant G. Some 20th century composers have experimented with the technique of polytonality, writing music in two or more keys at once. If two only are involved, it is sometimes called bitonality. Examples of this can be heard in Stravinsky's ballet Petrushka and The Rite of Spring. In Ravel's Bolero, where the third playing of the famous tune involves three keys at once, C major, E major, and G major. So the orchestra, some orchestra members will play in the key of C major, others in the key of E major, and the rest in the key of G major. And in Putnam's Camp, from Three Places in New England by the American composer Charles Ives, an impression of marching bands competing in different keys. It sounds like a marching band. I hear a tune, but it sounds a little bit dissonant. I hear the percussion in the background, so then I know it's 20th century music, because percussion was very important. So let's try and fit in the Dr. Smith here, the dynamics, the first point, the dynamics, a wide range of dynamics, the rhythm, it's a marching band. And I have a contrast though with the dynamic you hear, all of a sudden it's more flowing and softer. Brass instruments quite important. The structure, I have a lot of themes that is repeated. I hear the melody, but the melody sounds dissonant. Instrumentation, it's for a full orchestra. The texture, it's homophonic. I hear a melody, but it's very dissonant. And the tone colors, I hear that I sometimes have solo instruments coming in. And the harmony is polytonality. That sounds very 20th century. Dissonant, extorted sounds. There I hear the oboe as a soloist. Brass instruments joining. So although this is still nationalism, it describes a place. New England is in America, so it's like a camp in New England that he's thinking about. Don't think England, it's New England is in America. It's polytonality, so the harmony is polytonality, although I still classify this as nationalism. Huge contrast in dynamic. There I have another melody, a marching melody. So he takes popular marching tunes, so that's also a sign of nationalism. He uses marching tunes from America to put in a 20th century framework. And it sounds complicated because it's a totally new sound that I hear because of all the different keys. They mentioned that it's in C major, E major and G major. So the one group will play C major without any sharps. The next group will play E major with 4 sharps. Father Charles goes down. And the last group will play G major with only 1 sharp, F sharp. You hear the syncopated offbeat rhythms there. As I said, percussion very important, and that is a characteristic of 20th century music. Very spiky and angular there. That's a very popular song that we all know from marching bands. But it sounds dissonant because of the different keys that we have. So this is quite interesting. So what we do now with polytonality is that we can still put the music into impressionism category or a nationalism category. It's just the way that they use the harmony. Now, atonality means that I have no tonality. There's no key. Atonal music avoids any key or mode by making free use of all 12 notes of the chromatic scale. So if I say chromatic scale, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and C. Since all 12 notes are given equal importance, there is no pull toward any central tonic. So we know in a major key, if I am in the key of C major, it pulls me to the tonic key C. If I'm in A flat major, It pulls me to the tonic key A flat. Atonality is in fact the logic outcome of a trend which began during the Romantic period. The late Romantic composers, we know the word, and late Romantic, we know the composer Wagner as well. He used chromatic discords, bringing in notes from outside the key to color the harmonies. In time, so many chromatic notes were included, together with abrupt, adventurous modulations, that there were times when the listener became uncertain which key the music was in. Gradually, tonality, the major-minor key system, which had ruled Western music for almost 300 years, weakened and began to crumble. Certain techniques used by Debussy also helped to weaken the tonality. We have done Impressionism now, parallel motion, and also the use of whole tone scales. If you look at the whole tone scale, you will find it impossible to build any common chord such as C, E, G using notes of the scale. Because in a whole tone scale, we've done that. We don't have semitones. That a semitone 7 to 8 also pulls you to the keynote. All these steps led eventually to atonality, which became essential to the style of expressionist composers.
Hi, my name is Rachel Quee. I'm a pianist and piano teacher, and I'm going to explain to you some of the differences between tonal and atonal music. You can take entire classes on this subject, so I'm just going to get you started, but hopefully it'll pique your interest to explore it further. The majority of the music that we listen to in a Western culture is tonal music. That is, it's centered around one tonal pitch. So, for example, if your piece or your work happens to be in E major, it means that, generally speaking, your first chord will be E and your last chord will be E, which establishes a comfortable beginning and end for the listener. If, however, we're working with atonal music, this deals with music that is written without a tonal center. There are varying degrees of how extreme this can get, all the way from a strict serialism down to some more loose patterns that the music might follow. A strict serialism will use mathematical formulas to determine the music itself. Let me demonstrate how different tonal music sounds as compared to atonal music. A common example of tonal music would be Beethoven's Für Elise, which sounds like this. It's pleasant to the ear, and it's going to return to a tonal home. Atonal music, however, will follow a pattern. I'm going to simply follow a pattern of several intervals. Here's what that could sound like. And yes, many pieces and larger works have been constructed based on an atonal formula, such as that one. So understanding the differences between the tonal and atonal music can give you not only an appreciation for many different types of music, but perhaps even a basis to begin exploring writing and performing this music for yourself. My name is Rachel Quee. I'm a pianist and piano teacher, and we've talked today about the difference between atonal and tonal music.